This is an AI-made video.
Captain Silas Flint wasn't like other pirates. Oh, he had the gruff booming voice, the weathered face, and the salt-caked tri-corner hat. But his most defining characteristic wasn't his cutlass or his peg leg. He had both naturally. It was Jinx, his small, sleek black cat who often perched on his shoulder, purring like a rusty engine. And then there was his curse. Captain Flint's treasure always got found. He'd buried a chest of Spanish doubloons under the gnarled roots of a banyan tree on Isla Perdita, only for a family of particularly industrious monkeys to unearth it while searching for grubs. He'd meticulously hidden another in a cleverly sealed cave on Skeleton Key, only for a freak tidal wave to expose the entrance, revealing his loot to a passing fishing vessel. Once, in a fit of desperation, he'd simply painted a chest to look like a rock and left it on a deserted beach, only for a passing cartographer to declare it a remarkably lifelike geological specimen and haul it onto his ship for study. "Blast and barnacles," Flint would roar, pulling at his magnificent, bushy red beard. "Are the gods themselves mocking me, Jinx?" Jinx would simply blink her emerald eyes, giving a silent, knowing flick of her tail. She'd seen it all. Flint's reputation among pirates wasn't for his fearsome raids, but for the thrilling treasure hunts that inevitably followed his hiding attempts. Crews would follow him, knowing it was merely a matter of time before his latest stash was discovered. "No more," Flint declared one blustery morning, slamming his fist on the chart table. Jinx leapt a foot in the air. "I need a place so foul, so treacherous, so utterly devoid of human sense that no one, not a single soul, would ever dream of setting foot there." He pored over ancient charts, whispered tailies and dark legends. His search led him not to frozen wastes or scorching deserts, but to a vast, uncharted emerald smear on the map, deep in the southern seas, an island known only as the Serpent's Coil. From a distance, it looked like any other jungle island, albeit an unusually dense one. But as the sea serpent drew closer, the air grew thick and heavy, smelling of decay and unknown blossoms. The shoreline was a tangled, choking wall of mangroves and vines, with no clear beach. What few sounds could be heard over the lapping waves were guttural roars and the high-pitched shriek of unseen creatures. This looks promising, Captain," one of his more nervous crewmen stammered, gripping the mast. Flint's eyes gleamed. "Aye, Mr. Tibbles, promising indeed." He took a small longboat, Jinx curled at his feet, and a single, heavy chest filled with his most recent acquisitions: rubies the size of pigeons, eggs, gold chalices, and a handful of perfectly cut emeralds. The moment they entered the jungle, the air changed. It became a living, breathing entity. Vines thicker than a man's leg hung like monstrous pythons, dripping with unseen moisture. The ground was a treacherous swamp of sucking mud and unseen roots. Giant, iridescent insects buzzed with the sound of tiny chainsaws. Howler monkeys screamed from the canopy, their voices echoing like demons from the underworld. Within moments his clothes were soaked, his skin itching. He dodged a darting shadow that might have been a jaguar. A thick, scaly anaconda, disturbingly large, slid across his path, its eyes unblinking. The air vibrated with the croaking of enormous frogs and the rustling of things too big to be small, too hidden to be seen. Jinx, usually a picture of composure, was on high alert, her ears swiveling, her tail twitching like a conductor's baton. She leaped over a patch of what looked suspiciously like quicksand, landing nimbly on a moss-covered log. Flint, less agile, nearly slipped into a pool teeming with unseen, splashing creatures. "By the Kraken's beard," he muttered, hacking at a barbed vine that tried to ensnare his leg. "This is a proper hellhole." That was it, that was the magic word, hellhole. He pushed deeper, sweat stinging his eyes, until he found a clearing that was less a clearing and more a dense tangle of ancient trees, their roots forming a natural defensive wall. In the very center, almost completely concealed by a curtain of thorny, poisonous-looking blossoms, was a deep, water-filled crevice. "Here, Jinx," he panted, setting the chest down. "No one in their right mind would ever find this." He heaved the chest into the murky depths, watching it disappear with a satisfying splash. He covered the opening with vines, thorns, and a few strategically placed boulders that looked like they'd been there for centuries. But even as he looked at his hidden treasure, a glint in his saw-trimmed eyes. This was safe, yes, but not perfectly safe. What if someone, by a miracle, stumbled upon it? He needed a hiding place that was utterly, irrevocably his own. He reached up, tugging at his magnificent red beard which had grown to an impressive length over his sailing career. It was thick, coarse, and surprisingly voluminous. A slow smile spread across his face, revealing a missing tooth. Back aboard the Sea Serpent, much to the alarm of his crew, Captain Flint spent the next few days in his cabin, muttering to himself, a needle and thread in hand. Jinx watched, fascinated from her perch on his bunk. When he emerged, his beard seemed even bushier, perhaps a little stiffer. His crew commented, but he just grunted. They couldn't know. They couldn't possibly guess. Over the coming months, his raids continued and his treasure chest accumulated. But the chest that went to the Serpent's Coil was only ever some of it. The truly valuable gems, the ones that winked and glittered with inner fire, the flawless diamonds, the deep blue sapphires, those never left his person. With meticulous care, using the toughest silk thread he could find, Captain Flint had sewn tiny, nearly undetectable pockets into the very heart of his beard. He hid a thumb-sized sapphire near his jawline, a cluster of small diamonds woven into a braid near his chin, a large, sparkling emerald tucked safely behind his ear. The beard became a living, breathing vault. It was heavy, sometimes itchy, but it was his. Years passed. Captain Flint continued his pirate ways, always returning to the Serpent's Coil, always leaving another chest in the dreaded jungle. Reports of his cursed treasure continued. The chest he left in the desert was swarmed by scarab beetles and revealed. The one at the bottom of a lagoon was hauled up by a curious diver. But no one ever found the treasure within the Serpent's Coil. The jungle itself became his protector, its dangers a deterrent more formidable than any fortress. And no one, not even Jinx, though she often kneaded her paws against his beard while purring, ever suspected the true wealth he carried. When he grinned, a flash of sapphire might catch the light. When he scratched his chin, a diamond might shift, sending a cascade of tiny sparks. Captain Silas Flint, the pirate whose treasure always got found, finally had his secret. And so long as the Serpent's Coil remained a living, breathing hell, and so long as his beard remained thick and red, he would be the richest, safest pirate on the 7 seas. And Jinx, nestled comfortably in his lap, would purr, content in her master's unique, well-guarded fortune.